Madeline, please introduce yourself and tell us a few words about yourself and your experience.
Hi there, I'm Madeline Duva and I come from Silicon Valley and here at Happy Farm trying to help some of the new startups that they've put together. My background, I've been involved in a number of different startups at various executive roles, including CEO of the last company that I actually spent time working as a full-time employee. We sold that company successfully to PalmSource back in 2005, and since that time I've been working with a number of different startups as an advisor or on the board, trying to help them reach their dreams.
Thank you. And what projects are you interested in generally? What projects you choose as a mentor, advisor, and how do you work with them?
Okay. I certainly love the mobile and embedded software space. I particularly am interested in the Internet of Things, meaning those devices that have services that are connecting to the phone and to the mobile technology. That to me is a very fascinating area, and I think it's a big growth area. Additionally, I'm very interested in working with a big data company, as well as a number of the Internet of Things companies and various different projects in the Valley.
Thank you. And what startups now are the most popular and demanded in the Valley and in the US?
Well, I think, what we're seeing is a number of different trends. I mean, we've had a lot of companies that are, the mobile phone space is, people try and look at it as an industry, and I think it's part of more of a global, you can't have a mobile strategy, you need to have an overall strategy. And the mobile space is very important, and I think that, from the trends point of view, there have been, a gazillion apps being done, but what we're starting to see is kind of the trends in big data. There's a ton of data being collected, and how do we manipulate that data and make use of that data, whether it's to be able to sell something better or somebody to run their company better. Other trends I think that are being funded and are important is mobile commerce, payments. More and more, people are turning to the net, in terms of a way of purchasing rather than going in store. And even if you're going in store, we're going to start to see the mobile wallet and mobile payments from that perspective. I also think, you're starting to see a lot being funded in the what we call the quantified self space. So e-health and devices that are tracking, whether we're stepping, how we're sitting, how, all the different ways that we can, learn more about ourselves to better, our health, I think is another very big area.
Thank you. And Madeline, what is the situation with their investment in Valley? Is it easy to attract investments, and what is it?
Well, I think good ideas good ideas and good teams will always get funded, right? I think it's very competitive in the Series A space. It's because of the Great Recession of 2008, the ability, a lot of the things to build a company have gotten cheaper and cheaper. So it doesn't take a lot of money to start a company, and that's a double-edged sword. So it's great because it doesn't take you a lot of money, but the problem is that you get a lot of competition. People come up with an idea and you get a ton of competitors. So what happens is something gets funded and then a lot of things in that space will get funded. We're seeing a lot more that's happening at the higher end where people are raising 10, 20, $50 million, and we're seeing a lot at the very seed stage. I think the Series A, there's a bit of a crunch there, and it's harder to get the Series A, but we'll see how it all shakes out. There are a lot of changes going on in the Valley right now.
Thank you. And here at Happy Farm, you met more than 10 startups from Ukraine and other CIS countries. What do you think about them? How you can describe their level and what maybe impressed you most?
Right. I'm really excited about the teams that I saw here. There's a lot of enthusiasm. It's a hard thing to go out and start a company. And I think, we have that culture in the United States, particularly in the Valley, in New York, in Austin. There are startup communities. And I think it's really exciting to see folks in areas where that's not the norm in the culture, for people to be taking this very difficult leap. And I think there's some very good ideas, and we're going to see some successes out of these people.
Thank you. And do you have some favorites, maybe?
I don't want to play favorites. I think what's important is that, what I was able to see is a lot of the passion around their ideas, which is a key piece. And I think they're trying to tackle some problems that are real problems out there, which is also really, really important.
Thank you. And how do you think, what are the most serious problems that startups are facing on their way to success, and how to avoid or maybe solve them?
Right. Well, everybody's going to have different problems, but I think, one of the things as a startup is you got to really understand who your customer is. What are you trying to solve? What are you trying to create, and who is going to be interested in defining that customer. I think a lot of startups suffer from getting defocused. It's kind of what we call with the dog, they see a squirrel and they run after the squirrel, and they see another squirrel and they run after another squirrel. So people really need to focus on the problem that they're solving, and if they can stay focused on that it's a real problem, because a lot of times people create technology, and while that's great, somebody's got to have a need to use it, or it's never going to get out there. I think one of the big challenges, though, is rising above the noise. And I don't know the exact answer to that. I mean, there are many different ways to get yourself noticed, but it is tough because there are so many different applications out there and so much stuff going on, and the pace of change is so rapid. It's really, that's a big challenge, is to figure out how do you get noticed amongst all of the things that are happening.
Thank you. And could you please give some tips to startups?
Do something that you really love, because it's, or really hate. You want to solve this problem. It drives you crazy. A lot of stuff comes out of stuff that you personally, yourself better than anybody else. And if you're the customer, a lot of great ideas come out of the fact that somebody has a problem and they want to solve that problem. So really understanding, what the customer is and focusing on that, I think is critical.
Thank you. And Madeline, what do you think about Happy Farm? Why startups should just go to Happy Farm, or maybe not? What is the main advantage of Happy Farm? What do you think?
Well, I think, some people will say there are too many incubators out there, but the reality is, these people want to help. The incubators, whether there are many of them, but I think the guiding force is these people want to help the startups. And particularly in a place like Ukraine, you've got to build a community. It's not just about somebody with a good idea. One of the really incredible things about the Valley is that you have a virtuous cycle. You have, the money is there, the talent is there are good ideas, and people share and talk amongst themselves about what to use, what's the best tool, how am I going to market this. That conversation that keeps happening is critical, and people like Happy Farms are helping to create that community in an area where that community doesn't exist. And what I've seen even within this group over the past week is that they're getting ideas from each other, and that's the critical thing, is that you've got to talk about your idea, tell people about your idea, get that feedback on the idea, and I think these environments are really, really helpful for these individuals trying to start their own company, because it's a hard thing to do.
Thank you. And the last question, how did you like Ukraine? What are the impressions, and maybe something that impressed you most?
It's a beautiful country. I mean, I've never been here, and it's really exciting to have the opportunity to come and, learn more about the culture, more about the people. I think the people are very proud of their country, which is a beautiful thing to see. I've really enjoyed meeting all of the different people, and I've enjoyed the food. It's been, the porridges, the different things that people eat. I love experiencing that. I also did a zip line. That was really exciting. But most of all, I think it's just meeting the people and getting to understand the heart of the country and how people feel about their country, and it's a pretty exciting thing. I think the prospects are really good.